Hey, what do you know? This is the Melvin Live Show. Yes, and how's everyone doing today? Today it's Sunday and it's a great day. I forgot one thing. There you go. That's more like it. And so, how's everyone doing? This is the Melvin Live Show, and on this show itself, we talked about the 1%, 1 million all digital business. So, what on earth would you need to have this 1%, 1 million all digital business? Well, you can break it down to the three A's, right? And the first A essentially it's about assets. And when we talk about assets, we're actually talking about digital assets. So digital assets could be the books that you have, the online courses that you have created, or the documents that we have created. Like, for example, I created this online course confidence checklist, as well as an audio program. All this are digital assets. And in fact, this show itself, it's also a digital asset. Why? Because it is something that I need to create once, but I could use it over and over and over and over again. So the key idea here is that you want to be creating digital assets. Why? Because these assets would continue to work for you even after you have created them. So it can work for you in terms of getting the sale, it can work for you in terms of getting your leads, or it can be working for you in terms of fulfillment. All right. So that is the asset part. The second part, it's really you want to be able to automate your processes. And as we talked about it yesterday, when you look at automation, automation isn't a silver bullet that kind of solves all your problem. So when it comes down to automation, there are few things that you really want to be able to look at. Number one, it's there are certain things that are repetitive that you want to be able to automate that, right? Using software, using tools to help you do all that good stuff. So a very low level would be scheduling like your appointments, putting out an email newsletter, something that goes out on a weekly basis, like, the fourth issue it's going out maybe tomorrow. All right. So today I'm going to skip it to tomorrow itself. Well, for the very reason that, I spent the last 2 days supporting my son in his sailing regatta. And it is a massive family event, and so I want to be able to give him the best and fullest support itself. Well, is there something that I can do to make sure that I get it out on a Sunday instead of having it delayed? Of course there is, and I'm still working on that. All right. So the processes you have, you want to be able to look at what are some low level activities that can be automated. You also want to look at some level of activities that are perhaps higher value add, and that also can be automated in terms of, for instance, a tool that kind of pull out content all over the internet for you on a daily basis, for instance, right? And so the second part really it's about automation. Now, the third part that we want to talk about here today, it's about acceleration. How do you accelerate the growth of your business? So you have a good knowledge, you have the good extensive expertise, experience. And what you want to do is you want to be able to monetize that. And so you create digital assets. Now, after you created those digital assets, what you want to do is you want to create a system that enable you to, or create processes that enable you to automate some of these processes so that it can be done even without you lifting a finger. Now, once that is done and that it's coming to be consistent, what you want to do is you want to grow the business. You want to accelerate it so that you're able to reach that $1 million ARR, right? And so, in order to do that, what you need actually is a system. But today we're not going to be talking about system. Today, what we're going to be talking about, it's something that perhaps you have been avoiding it, or I have been avoiding it, or we have been avoiding it. What I'm talking about here is called the truth. Now, what has the truth got to do with accelerating the growth of your business? I'll get to that in a minute. But before that, I'd like to share with you a book called The Speed of Trust. And this book has been written, I think, many years ago by Stephen M. Covey, the son of Stephen Covey, right? And so this book itself essentially describes the phenomenal about trust in an organizational context. So think of, when you work with a company and you know that the company has got a great culture when it comes to getting things done, for example, right? And one of the key aspect of it is that the reason why they are able to get things done, it's because of trust. So there have been studies whereby people were saying that, okay, Amazon is able to become what it is today primarily because it has put in the trust in their customer representative. Because when you ask for something, the customer representative actually have the autonomy to decide whether to issue you a refund or to do certain thing to rectify whatever unpleasant experience that you have just encountered. And so only when you are able to entrust your people to do the right thing and you create an environment for them to do that, right? Then this can be done. So, as opposed to, when I was dealing with one of the local banks here in Singapore, there was one day I called him up and I said, hey, I would like, this thing to be, this charge to be reversed because it wasn't something that I did. And as a result of that, it resulted in an additional charge itself. And so I want it to be reversed. And they reluctantly, or not even reluctantly, they refuse to to accede to my request. And when you ask them why that is the case, they say that, well, this is the bank's policy. And until you speak to someone higher up, only that person, it's have then have the autonomy to decide whether that charge can be reversed. And so the person who is taking up the call essentially is just the first line, and they are probably not empowered to do much except to tell you that this cannot be done. Of course, there will be people who kind of will stop at that and just accept it for what it is, but not me. So what I did was I insisted that this can be done and it is not my fault. And in fact, because of the relationship that I have with the bank over the years, this is something that they can definitely do for me. And so the person who's speaking out the call is not able to make the kind of decision until the manager steps into the picture. And so, in that context itself, you can see that the customer representative essentially has no autonomy to be able to execute something that brings about a more delightful customer experience. Whereas the other company, like Amazon, has given their people the autonomy to do that. So, the whole context of trust, it's something that I feel it's perhaps something that can be learned, especially here in Singapore, right? I believe that in Singapore, we have a high level of distrust in the society itself, not just, when it comes to doing business, but also when it comes to in a social context. And so the book, The Spirit of Trust, actually introduced this concept called the economic of trust. And the economics of trust essentially break it down into two parts. There is a there is a trust dividend and there is a trust tax. So what on earth is a trust dividend and a trust tax? So think of it this way. if you have trust in the organization, or if you, the way you do business, you are able to engender the trust in your customer, in your partners, in your stakeholders, then what's going to happen is you are going to be able to experience a faster speed of doing business and lower costs. So, as an example, when someone brings up a topic itself, because there's high level of trust, and everyone knows that we are working towards the common goal, we all have a shared vision and a shared value, and I am not going to doubt or even speculate if you might have a hidden agenda with regards to the the thing that you have brought up, right? And so because of that high level of trust, I'm going to say yes, I trust you that you are doing something that it's good for the company, and if it's good for the company, it's going to be good for our customers, and then it will be good for us. And so with that itself, the policy or the initiative gets implemented a lot faster, right? Because people are not doubting each other, and they are, if anything, right, trusting each other's actions and motive. And so they are willing to put any of this hidden agenda aside and just go with it. Comparatively, if you have an organization whereby there's a high level of distrust, and so every time you say certain thing, someone else would have to second or even third guess what exactly is your motive and your intentions behind that initiative itself. Was it something that you do so that you are able to gain credit for it, or you're able to put yourself in the better light and shine the spotlight on the other departments? And so because of that level of distrust, people are less likely to want to embrace those initiatives. And so as a result, that it resulted in a slowing down of the speed of doing business, because you have to go through you know layers after layers of proposal and presentation and justification. And as you go through that whole process itself, it just increases the cost of you doing business. And the cost could be the opportunity cost, because by the time this thing gets out there, you probably have already missed the mark. And so trust has become something that people might think that it is just going to create a better work culture or not, right? But in fact, Stephen Covey was able to link trust to business performance. And so as a result of that, you can see that having putting in place certain programs, practices, and policies that engender trust in an organization is going to bring about, the lower cost of you doing business, and it's going to expedite the way that you're going to implement your initiative. And so, how does this link to our topic of accelerating your growth? Now, when you want to accelerate your growth, and one of the things that you want to look at how you can accelerate your growth, primarily if you want to grow your business, there are three ways, right? One is that you get more clients. So if you have got 100 clients, you get 200 clients, right? That is one way. The other way is to charge more. So instead of charging $100 per client, for example, or $1,000 per client, you charge 20,000, something more, right? Two times, three times, 10 times, for example, right? And the third way of actually growing would be you want to be able to get your customers to buy more and and pay more for each purchases, right? That is the best way going forward. So if you do one thing, you probably have that, you know proportionate growth, right? If you have a 10% increase in customer, you have a 10% increase in revenue. But when you have two of these three things going for you, you have a geometric progression. And when you have three things going all at the same time, all three cylinders firing at the same time, what are you going to have? It's exponential growth. Now, that is something that I always remember from Jay Abraham, because many a times people talked about growing their business, and there seems to be so many different ways, or ways that are far more complex about growing their business. But in effect, the growing of the business, it can be boiled down to this three simple strategies itself. And so if you want to be able to get more customers, you want to be able to build trust with your existing customer, and by way of that you will then be able to build trust with your future customer. Now, I know that sounds a lot easy, but it's easier said than done, right? The other thing is, of course, if you want them to pay more, they have to believe that when you asking them to pay more, there is an increase in value. And it's not just because you've got a car to finance and that's why you're getting them to pay more, right? So that is something that it's really, really crucial there. And so when it comes to this, having that level of trust, and with the increased level of trust itself, will definitely help you grow your business faster in an accelerated manner. And so if you like more of such videos, make sure you subscribe to this channel, because coming out, we're going to do a 5-part mini series on the 1% 1 million all digital business. And if this video has been helpful, make sure you give it a thumbs up, because that's the best way that can help other people discover videos like this. All right. And just a quick update here. Yesterday, I was using a tool to broadcast the live show, and quite frankly, I didn't like the tool because there seemed to be some lag in terms of the stream of my video itself, and it compromises in terms of the quality as well as the branding of my show. And so I cannot afford to have that kind of latency when it comes to streaming itself. I want on YouTube to be that 1080p um, resolution when it comes to streaming, and even higher if I can afford it, right? And also, on Facebook itself, I want that level of clarity and zero latency when it comes to streaming. So I have already, I bought the tool yesterday, and I was excited to check it out. But it really disappointed me. And so unless Video Link do something to make that tool better, I've already asked for a refund. So that's something that I want to give you in terms of an update of that tool. So folks out there, if you are from Video Link, and you like to reach out to me and to see how you can help me increase the quality of my stream, I'll be more than glad to speak with you on that. All right, with that, thank you so much for watching, and catch you guys on the next one. Bye bye.